You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm the bad boy of X-Men podcasting. I'm Zack. Hey Adam,
Hi.
what's your most anticipated read this October? This is a stacked October.
I mean, I am still in the middle of a China Mayville, I don't know how to say China's last name, book, but there's a new Area X book coming out, so I'm very excited about the new Vandermeer.
Are you talking about Absolution?
I very much am. That's pretty exciting that there's going to be a fourth one, so I'm pumped about that.
You know, it's exciting when there is a new Murakami book and a new Alan Moore book coming out this fall, and I'm more excited about this weird crocodile book that's going to come out. Can't wait for that.
It's going to be great. I'm very much looking forward to it.
It's going to be great. And you know what? I think a lot of us sometimes need absolution for our crimes. Say of yeeting a baby off of a waterfall.
Well, I mean, it's so funny. We got to get into this because we are talking about X-Men Unlimited and we are going to talk about this issue of number 4. And I want to start talking about it already, but we gotta at least introduce why we're talking about X-Men Unlimited, Zach.
Oh, because this was one of our community picks, was to do this X-Men Unlimited, I think. Honestly, I'm going to be real about this one, Adam. I kind of forget why we're doing X-Men. Is that the reason?
I don't know, but that's fine. If you want to be in on those community picks, what do you have to do?
We just wrapped up a recent round of them and got some awesome stuff that's going to be fun in the near future. But if you want to be part of our community, you can go on over to Battle of the Atom on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Battle of the Atom. We keep it easy for you. Reach deep down, hearts, pocketbooks, $5. $5, people. We don't have tiers. We have the one tier, and it's $5. You want bonus content? Forget it. We have lives. You want merch? Steal our logo. If you really want the merch, I'll find you a PNG. Bubble. Oh, there is a Redbubble? Oh, I forgot that.
Zach.
Adam, I don't know what's set up. Then buy the officially licensed stuff where we get 50 cents off of it.
Pennies on the dollar.
Pennies on the dollar. You know, you're supposed to buy for pennies on the dollar, not sell for pennies on the dollar. That's actually, you teach that in business school, Adam. I'm going to tell you. I got the degree on my wall, and it's telling me, yeah, you want to buy low and sell high, actually.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
yeah.
The token that you receive from us is non-fungible. I'm going to tell you that right away. The token that you get from us, which is a token of our appreciation, more than anything else. It is not on the blockchain. It is not a picture of a monkey with some weird face thing on him. It's just us saying thank you for supporting your local weird X-Men podcast. I know you have a lot of options for X-Men podcasts, and I'm glad you chose ours.
I don't know. Is audio fungible? I can't touch it.
No,
but it is hitting your eardrums.
You can't funge audio.
No,
you can't funge that. You can't break it. I guess, hold on. I guess technically, someone could take this podcast and then edit it, like splice it in half, and then post this podcast in smaller increments online.
I don't like the way that's going. No, I don't want that. Please don't do that. Listeners, don't do that.
Do that if you want to make like TikToks of funny things we say, because I'm sure I'm not going to do it. I tried. No, actually, I won't. I refuse to try TikTok. Not because it's been threatened to be banned for a while. I'm afraid of, the People's Republic of China. It's just like, that seems like a lot of work.
We're just old, Zach.
I'm 30 or 40 years old. I don't need this.
30 or 40 years old. All right. So, because the community picked it this week, we are talking about X-Men Unlimited in its multiple volumes, and we are starting with Volume 1, Number 4, an issue that tries to explore the family relationships between Mystique, Graydon Creed, Nightcrawler, and Rogue, all in one gigantic 50-page issue. It is a mess.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't see on-panel evidence of Rogue and Nightcrawler treating each other as brother and sister. Like, ever. Until very, 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 very recent writers have just kind of picked up and like, oh, they're one big happy family, aren't they? I'm like, well, you know, at minimum, Nightcrawler thought that Mystique yeeted him off a cliff. Also, Mystique thought that she yeeted him off of a cliff. And Rogue was just like this stray that they picked up and then was like, oh, but you did make me do terrorism, so I have some mixed feelings about my relationship with you. And they're a messy family in this comic. This comic is about them being a messy family. This comic is not about them finding out that they all love each other.
No. And so we are written, this issue is written by Scott Lobdell, professional comic writer, and drawn quite inscrutably by Richard Bennett and inked by Steve Moncues. And let me tell you, this is an ugly comic book. Like, Bennett,
It's not the best.
no, Bennett is drawing lots of lines and really wants to look like Jim Lee, doing a terrible job at it. It is really bad. Like,
It's a rough. Part of it is Bennett doesn't have the same command of anatomy
oh
that
no,
Lee does.
no. Mm-mm.
Also, Bennett's just like his ability or his attempts to add texture and depth with the cross hatching and the bunch of little lines and all that stuff. He's just not as adept of doing that, and maybe that's Steve Moncues' inks playing into it. But regardless, the issue looks pretty bad. Still does have that panel where Mystique throws a baby off of a waterfall, though, and that's kind of the most perfect thing that's ever existed.
It's pretty great. I mean, because
hey, hold on. I'm sorry, because I hadn't heard about Steve Moncues, so I just wanted to like double check what his deal was.
Okay,
Adam, he did write a Marvel comic.
which one?
Oh, you know it, Fish Police.
Fish Police.
Yes, the classic Marvel comic Fish Police as seen on TV.
I was going to say that sounds like a tie-in for a television cartoon or something.
What it looks like,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like a Ninja Turtles
Okay.
riff.
Yeah. A lot of those in the early 90s.
Yeah, it was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon in 1992. Based on a comic book in which all the characters are anthropomorphized fish. It's the tagline was Fish Police, Carps and Robbers for the 90s.
I don't hate that. That's pretty great.
6 episodes were produced, only 3 were broadcast.
Oh, so Fish Police was not a hit. Well, maybe Nightcrawler did encounter some Fish Police when he was yeeted off of the waterfall by Mystique. It is funny to think like that scene is so prominent in the Draco, and yet it really did originate right here. And as you're reading the comic, there's this sort of like Rashomon thing going on where it's like, wait, who exactly threw Nightcrawler off the waterfall? Until Mystique, believing that she's talking to Graydon Creed, is like proudly talking about throwing Nightcrawler off this waterfall.
She is so gleefully excited about throwing Nightcrawler off of this waterfall.
And then finding out that it is Nightcrawler that she's talking to and saying something along the lines of, I never meant for you to find out this way. And it's like, what? The tone in this book is so crazy. She meant for him to
find out in a different way. She had a whole scheme. She literally, since her second or third ever appearance, she's been trying to do this scheme.
Yeah. this is a mess. Mystique assassinates a character in the military who we've never heard of, then makes a bomb out of his body and pretends to be the priest at his funeral, and somehow knows that Rogue and Nightcrawler are going to come and save her. And then so much of this issue is given over to Graydon Creed and Forge having random conversations, and like nobody likes Graydon Creed. Nobody wants to talk about this character or listen to this character.
Graydon Creed is a character that during the good times in my youth, I was like, well, this is an unrealistic person. Graydon Creed, kind of too real for real sometimes. It doesn't even seem like he's going far enough sometimes.
Yeah, I just think as a visual, as a character you want to spend time with, and like some villains are actually interesting and you want to engage with them. Graydon Creed
Creed's
is not that
Robert
character.
Kelly. That's the thing. Robert Kelly is interesting.
Yeah. There's
Robert
nuance.
Kelly has nuance and depth, and even if you disagree with him, which you should, because one of his large policies is genocide robots.
Mm-hmm.
He does have a standing where Graydon Creed is like, hey, by the way, I am in a white supremacist militia and I want to be president now.
Yeah. Huh.
That's it. That's his whole deal. That's his whole thing. What is good, however,
what
and
is
I love
good?
How gleefully evil Mystique is in this. And it's something that I truly feel has been lost over the last, I say few years, but really since like 2000-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Like since she was in that movie and we were all like, oh, this is a naked blue lady. I was 9 years old at the time. You have to understand that was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, they decide, like, Marvel was like, oh, Mystique has star potential. That's like, so now they have pivoted Mystique into a protagonist position. Not necessarily a good guy, but a protagonist. And what we lose is I am gleefully evil. And I have some levels of morals. And like she's introduced to the X-Men, but like, I do want to kill this guy that is going to ruin our future. But then she goes around and worked for the same government. So like Mystique has always had this weird level of flexibility that's more about her and her selfishness than anything else. And we have in the process of trying to add nuance and depth to Mystique, have lost a good chunk of that edge.
I think this issue is interesting because it, first of all, goes back and retcons the story that Will Sportaccio was drawing about Mystique going insane and Forge taking care of it. Forge basically saying, no, she was pulling a stunt. That was just one of her things. I also,
okay, but that
it was just funny.
I would say it. It's funny, and I kind of agree with it. Like,
yeah. What I don't agree with, this issue
what don't you agree with?
This issue does two other things which are really heinous. The first one is it completely screws up the chronology of the Cody story, which is the, like, one of, if not, it is my favorite, I think, of the X-Men classic backup stories. And Nascent, he wrote it. It is an absolutely amazing story. And I think X-Men readers are pretty familiar with it. It definitely...
Cody's the boy that Rogue kisses. For
yes.
those of you who don't know who Cody is out of context.
Yeah.
The boy that Rogue kisses.
This supposes, unlike in the original story, where she's already living with Mystique and Destiny, and they're already a family, this supposes that after she kissed Cody, she like went on the lam with a shotgun until Mystique approached her and revealed herself as a mutant. That's not what happened, Scott Lobdell. So that's strike number one. Strike number two is that he also goes back into Nightcrawler's backstory. And noted Nightcrawlerologist Dr. Anna Papard noticed that I was reading this issue and did note, which I think is important for people to realize, is that up until this point, the Nightcrawler Amanda Sefton relationship was not really written as like an incest thing. It was
No, it
never
wasn't.
approached that way. This issue is ground zero for that, where Amanda Sefton and Nightcrawler are having a conversation. Amanda Sefton looks absolutely insane, drawn by Richard Bennett in this scene, and is basically like, "Oh, Nightcrawler, but I'm your sister," and then kind of teasing him, in a provocative way that very much goes into the trope of the two of
Yes.
them,
Where
right? Being
previously
related.
it was just like, hey, Chris, you kind of wrote yourself into a weird corner here. So I guess we're doing incest here.
Right.
But we're not gonna Game of Thrones it.
Exactly.
We're just gonna be like, yeah, if you look at the continuity close enough.
Yeah. So
it's fine. You get that in any small town.
Two big strikes here on the storytelling. It's a slog to read this issue. It is so
the bigger problem is the
long.
storytelling's bad. It's very long. This is all Mystique trying to get revenge on Great and Creed. Why?
I don't know.
It turns out because she hates Great and Creed, because Great and Creed's also her child.
Right.
And they're all like, oh, weird. Creed. Hey, we know a guy named Creed. Kind of weird that we didn't put those two together. Is this Great and Creed? This isn't his first appearance, but it's like almost his first. It's
no, I believe he appears in an earlier issue of X-Men.
In X-Men 299 is his first one.
Yeah.
But Great and Creed, aka Bad Seed. I'm sorry, I love Victor Lavelle. I don't have any. I don't get Bad Seed. That's fine. Great and Creed tries to do plots, and Nightcrawler eventually saves the day. He does teleport Great and Creed out of the way of a bullet, but into Nightcrawler's clothes, which isn't really explained.
Well,
it's just at a certain point, Great and Creed is wearing Nightcrawler's like shoulder pauldrons.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense because he's also using Nightcrawler's image inducer to look like Nightcrawler, which is how we get this miscommunication scene. So he could have done that without trading costumes. But Nightcrawler is like not naked. He's like
he's wearing
like a leotard.
Technically, if you want to be specific, Nightcrawler's costume is a skin-colored bodysuit under his pauldrons slash like thongkini from Borat that he wears.
Yeah. Yep. This all doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter. But
it doesn't.
We get to a final thing where Nightcrawler has.
You say it doesn't matter. It's like one of the most defining stories for all of these characters for 15 years.
It is.
So it kind of matters.
It does matter. I think that it is so ugly that I don't think people are going to want to go back and look at this, though.
It does have, I will say, to Scott Lobdell's credit, it does have a lot of like Mystique thinking about destiny and being very clearly like Scott Lobdell of all people in 1994. It's like, oh yeah, they're lesbians. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, that is
they're deeply in love in this comic.
That is made very clear. I just, it's hard to care so much about whether Nightcrawler is saving, Mystique or Rogue at the end of this story because, well, no, is it Rogue that has to save either Mystique or Nightcrawler and chooses Nightcrawler?
But if you recall, I accidentally read the wrong week of comics like a month ago.
I know, you read this a couple weeks ago.
I did not refresh myself right before this. I was like, I've done it in the last 30 days. I'm good.
It's just hard to care about that scene when half of the page is basically a shot of Rogue's butt and her foot. And it's like, what is this?
Richard Bennett, you're not the best artist.
No. So I think we should try and rank this, and I don't think it's going to go very high.
Oh, man, because here's the thing about us vis-a-vis ranking things. It's that we do it, and we put things on our big old list. Adam, have
Hey.
you heard about said list?
I have. I've heard it has 957 stories on it.
That's insane because we're on that road to 1,000, baby. We're ranking them all from best to worst. The number one X-Men story of all time is the House of X Powers of 10. The 300th best story is Amazing Spider-Man 229 to 230. Nothing can stop the Juggernaut. The 600th best story is Ultimate X-Men The Tempest. As we know, that's the story where Ultimate Mr. Sinister pushes Charles down a flight of stairs while yelling that his only weakness is stairs, which is
pretty great.
It sure is something. Number 900 is Uncanny X-Men First Class number 4. That's the time that Jean learned how to be a martial artist, which she constantly uses, we all know. And then 2099 World of Tomorrow. That's the worst X-Men story of all time. It's weird how few of these you would consider conventional X-Men stories, but that's fine.
That's our show, Zach.
It's been 7 years. We're running out of the conventional ones that we want to talk about, though we did come up with several very recently that were like, oh yeah, let's do that one.
We still have so much that we haven't done. At 7...
Is this better or worse than...
Oh,
yeah.
go...
I was going to say number 1, but it's worse than Unlimited number 1 at 517.
Absolutely. Down at 741, we have Mystique 1 to 6. Better or worse than that?
Worse than Mystique 1 to 6.
Better or worse than at 788, Sabretooth Mystique.
Worse than Sabretooth Mystique.
Okay.
I don't think Sabretooth Mystique's good, just to be clear, but it is worse than Sabretooth Mystique.
So it looks like we're going into the 800s here.
Is this better or worse than the time in X-Men Unlimited 17 that they did a face-off from the movie Face-Off?
I think we're in the right spot because down at 821 is X-Men Unlimited 32, which is the Dazzler behind the music. And this isn't that bad, I don't think.
I think it is that bad because like 820 is Vigil from Marvel Comics Presents. As we all know, that's the story of Wolverine's magic French daughter with crystal claws. Rain?
Yeah. I don't know. Is this... Oh, this is an ugly comic.
Vigil
though.
Looks better. Vigil looks so much better. Like, it's not even my style, but Vigil looks way better. And like Charles Soule is telling a story that... Okay, I'm not even going to argue that it makes logical sense. Man, that's what we should do at NYCC. I should try and get another interview with Charles Soule and then ask him what was up with Wolverine's French magic daughter.
Just don't ask him about... Well, first of all, I don't know if he's going to be there. Is he?
He was on the list.
Okay. All right. He's on the list. Just don't ask him about Star Wars or his bodyguard will check you. All right. At 841 is Morlocks Take Manhattan. That's better than this.
Yeah, it is. Blood Brothers is better than this. That's got some good art in it. This is worse than X-Men Origin, right? Or not X-Men Origin, but like Wolverine's Origin, like the Origin comic, which is pretty, but nonsensical.
Man, we're getting down here, huh? I mean, this is not as terrible as Wolverine 88, where Wolverine fights Deadpool at 861. So I think we're ahead of that.
It's also not better than Mutant X, the Goblin Queen arc.
Yeah.
That Goblin Queen arc's better.
All right. So is it better or worse than New Mutants 86, Rusty and Skids versus the Vulture?
Adam?
Yeah.
You wore a younger man's clothes at this time. If you had these two comics in front of you as a child, and someone said, I need $1.25, you can only have one.
Yeah.
Which one are you picking?
You mean the New Mutants or X-Men Unlimited?
Yeah.
I think I would go for the X-Men Unlimited, at least with the promise of what it's supposed to be doing.
Okay. Because I know you were a Rob head for a while.
I know, but I wouldn't. Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
So this is our new
860. It's X-Men Unlimited number 4. Mystique Yeets a Baby. I'm sure there's a better title somewhere. Speaking of right above this list, I just want you to know this, Adam, and our listeners, I guess, are in on the joke. I got a Instagram direct message from Jason Ayers, friend of the show, WWE ref.
Oh yeah.
That was just a picture of the Brotherhood number 9, the cover with Dupe on it.
Yep.
And he was like, I just found this in a lockbox and I wanted to send it to you. And I said, thank you so much. I also said, hell yeah, when I saw this picture.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
So good. The Brotherhood, not a good comic. He's insane that it ends as an X Factor or Ecstatics tie-in.
Ecstatics.
I say X
Crazy.
Factor now because X Factor's trying to steal Ecstatics, but it's okay. I guess. I don't care. I'm not bitter.
That's okay. Equally insane is that there are multiple volumes of X-Men Unlimited. So in what?
Well, it's because the first volume actually was limited.
That took me a second. I was like, wait, what?
I was like, okay, hold on. That wasn't that bad of a joke. No.
That was pretty good. I was just like, wait a minute, is this one of those mini-series things and I missed it?
No. You're talking about X-Men Unlimited Volume 2, which I think chronologically was actually like they didn't really cancel. No, that's true. They didn't really cancel X-Men Unlimited. Like the last issue 50 of the first series came out in July of 2003. And then by February of 2004, there was a new run of X-Men Unlimited. And since that was a quarterly book for the longest time, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. No, they basically just hit the reset button. So we're going to talk about volume 2, number 7, which has a really beautiful Paul Smith cover. Unfortunately, that is not necessarily reflected in the stories within. The first one we're going to talk about is a Nightcrawler story called Double Feature, written by Arvid Nelson and penciled by Louis LaRosa and inked by Tom Palmer. And the second one is The Boy Who Wasn't There, written by Mike Raked, penciled by Carlo Pagulian and inked by Sean Parsons. And why don't we start with the Nightcrawler story, Zach?
This is a Nightcrawler story.
Supposedly. Sure doesn't sound like Nightcrawler very much.
Adam, I'm gonna be honest. So yeah. Nightcrawler's trying to find or Nightcrawler finds a mutant girl is what happens.
Well, we get this, I hate this trope. You know, men attacking a woman in an alley. He's just gotten out of the movies, so Nightcrawler scares them off. And we learn that this woman is blind. And so there's like this weirdness where he like doesn't want to be touched. Like he doesn't want her to know what his features are. So we have this.
I can understand if they play this as like Nightcrawler has weird anxiety. He's like, I don't want to explain it.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's not how it's played. It's played more of like, oh, I'm still ashamed of what I look like, which we've gotten past long ago.
And not even that. Not even just that Nightcrawler as a character has gotten past it. This as a Marvel Comics trope has existed since the primordial ooze of the Marvel universe emerged from Fantastic Four. This is Alicia Masters. Like this is what Alicia Masters does with the Thing. It's come on. Like this is not a new story.
No, and he's, unlike Nightcrawler normally is, he's not charming, he's not sweet, he's just kind of like
that's
mopey.
That's 2000s Nightcrawler for you.
Yeah.
And for some reason, so many people think that that's the way that Nightcrawler is, right?
Ugh. Yeah, no swashbuckling here. So even though he's a complete stranger and won't let her visualize him through touch, he still offers to walk her home, which she allows him to do. And this is where the story continues to like just get weirder. She ends up telling him that she is a survivor of the Rwandan genocide, and that is how she was blinded. Wow. This story just took a wild turn.
That's just a lot to drop in the middle of all of this. Like that's okay. So that's what we're talking about now.
Yeah. Brand new character. And this is like a couple pages in and these people don't know each other. And she's basically now giving him her entire backstory. And then on top of that, we learn that she is actually also a mutant. Because she possesses a third eye underneath a bandana that she's been wearing that allows her to scare off some kids that are like heckling them from a window. But her powers only work if she catches people by surprise. which I don't know how she's supposed to do necessarily. It doesn't seem well thought out as a concept.
I don't like. I don't know where this came from. It is odd that this comic comes out the same year that the movie Hotel Rwanda does.
Oh, it definitely seems like the writer may have
Like,
seen the movie and just
no, it's because the comic came out before the movie, so I don't
okay.
know. Okay, I was 13 when this movie came out, so I don't know what the cultural zeitgeist was like at the time. Uh, but it sure feels like either just a lot of people a decade later were thinking about the Rwandan genocide, or guy heard about the movie and he was like, "Oh, I want to learn more about it," and then things kind of progressed.
I think it would make more sense if Arvid Nelson like maybe turned out to be from somewhere anywhere near Rwanda, but he's an American white guy.
You also
And
had to look that up just before you were saying anything, because I also was like, "We're gonna double check this so we don't eat crow right now," because I've never heard of this gentleman.
no, and it's not to say that he can't write about it either, but it's done
Right.
like it's like dropping a ton of bricks in the middle of this story, and it doesn't fit the tone of the story. It's really weird. So this one is a big no from me. I don't think it works character wise or story wise. How about what did you think of the Kitty story?
So the kitty story is about her bonding with a student who is a ghost who is disincorporating, like Kitty was threatened to do for many times.
Yeah,
And then the kid dies, and everyone's sad about it.
yes, not
That's the
before the
story.
kid gets to be creepy and say that, sitting out on a pier with Kitty is the closest he'll ever get to going on a date, which is a little strange. Um,
Okay, this is a teenage boy. I'm gonna let him. This is a dying teenage boy, and his thoughts are, "I never got laid. That sucks." I get
well,
that. Like,
up until
very
that moment,
realistic.
yeah, up until
Okay,
that moment, it made sense, and then it went to like Gail Simone Uncanny, and I was like,
okay, but
oh.
no, a teenage boy would absolutely say that.
It's made less creepy by the fact that he is completely like just
He is the least.
evaporating.
He's the least threatening child. He is literally dying. Like, Kitty, historically, Catherine Pride will find any soapbox and get up on it.
Sure.
She chooses gracefully not to yell at this child for being inappropriate. She's like, not the battle, which means she's maturing. She is growing herself.
Yeah, this is set in astonishing
Yeah.
land. That's the context. So we get a little cameos of Emma and Beast here, but in general, I mean, it's kind of a nothing story. It's not nearly as bad as the Nightcrawler story. I thought it was
It's
just
just
fine.
so this ended up being the issue with Marvel Unlimited, because I went through, this is no joke. When I decided I was going to read Marvel Unlimited, I did it like an insane person. I read all of Marvel Unlimited or X-Men Unlimited
Mm-hmm.
from front to back.
Yeah,
So you get a lot of bad, short X-Men stories.
which is a shame because a book like this could present a really great opportunity for new voices to try things out with the book. And I know that there have been some things like that in the book, but these are so safe. They feel like the
That's
kinds of things that would just be shoved in as an afterthought in an annual. And
well, and we can talk about this, especially when we talk about our next comic. But like, I think that's the big difference when uh Marvel brought back the X-Men Infinity comics, Marvel, or like X-Men Unlimited for the Infinity comic. That really was a place to try out new stories or different stories that they weren't doing.
Mhm.
And it was good.
Yeah.
Uh and like it had a different tone, a different like feel to it. It wasn't just, let's do the most deep mature stories that we can think of because I want comics to be taken seriously because it's the early 2000s. Comics code's gone, and we really want bang pow comics not just to be for kids anymore.
There there's definitely a feeling of that in this particular issue, right? Like these feel after school specially in a way, and it doesn't make for good comics. So I don't think this is nearly as technically bad as what we talked about in the first, but I mean, at least the first X-Men Unlimited story we talked about at least has some like continuity
Oh, I'm never going to
consequences.
forget X-Men Unlimited #4. I've read this comic multiple times and I completely forget it.
Yeah. So I would think it goes below.
I kind of think it would too. Also, I did get the timeline wrong. The new volume of X-Men Unlimited started before Hotel Rwanda came out. This issue did come out after Hotel Rwanda got wide release,
Okay.
not just the initial limited run. So at minimum,
Hmm.
he saw the trailer for Hotel Rwanda and then wrote this.
Okay. Listen, real event. I don't have any issue with a writer talking about,
Just
an
do it
actual
good.
thing to spread
Just do it good.
information. Just like you can't always just drop.
If you're gonna bring up real world genocide in my superhero comic book, just do it good. You do it good, I'm not gonna complain.
Right.
I'll be bummed maybe, but like that's just life. You do
Yeah.
it bad, I'm gonna be like, you fumbled a grenade right here and you shouldn't have. Just
Yeah. So we're at 860 with Unlimited #4. I'm working my way down. I think this is worse than Liberators at 876.
It is worse than X-Men Liberators. I'm trying to find where I start to say actually these comics are not just like Mojo Worldwide is better than this though.
Yeah,
at
it is.
902. And Mojo
is.
Worldwide's not good. I was
think
thinking about Mojo Worldwide yesterday, buddy. I don't know why.
Eve of Destruction at least has that one good issue at 909.
This is better than Wild Thing #4, which
Yeah.
is a fundamentally bad comic. This is also better than Venom Tooth and Claw. Love you, Larry. Love what's the freaky little rat's name?
Oh.
The
Why
little
do I always forget his name with the smiley face on his butt.
I want to call him Sack, but Sack's a different guy. Sack
but
is
it's something
Discount
like
Blob
that.
Herman.
This is gonna bother me. Hold on a sec.
Who's Larry Hama's weird little rat?
Venom, Tooth, and Claw. Man, that was
I tried to
bad.
type in Larry Hama into Google and I accidentally typed in Hairy Llama, which is not a way to really differentiate many llamas at all.
You're not going to want to have that in your...
All llamas are hairy.
I know.
Naturally. This is hold on. No. I would be fine on my work computer if I looked up hairy llama. I think the bigger question is, Zach, why did you specify? Zach, why did you specify that the llamas could not be shaven?
I love this.
You could have just searched llamas. Why?
Why
Dirt
can't-
Nap. His name's Dirt Nap. I didn't even have to look it up. It just came to me. His
There
name's
we go.
Dirt Nap. That's that little freak. Love that little freak. He's in a worse
Jeez.
comic.
Okay.
This is
I'm going to give the edge here to at 911. We have Return of the Native, which at least has the Wolverine Origins helicopter scene in it. So I think this should be our 912.
I agree. Like, I don't want to give it to Return of the Native, a bad comic book. But
yeah. Okay.
Can we talk about our last story finally?
Yes, let's talk about something.
Talk about good comics today.
Yes. So we have been talking about X-Men Unlimited Volume 1, Volume 2. Now let's talk about what you were just talking about, Zach. Volume 3, which is the Infinity Comics, which we're now seeing on Marvel Unlimited, which there was a really interesting piece that came out today, a short interview with Dan Buckley on the Hollywood Reporter about what they're doing with the digital initiative and how they've seen an increase in a variety of different demographics who are reading on digital and how it's informing the things that are going to print. I definitely recommend people read that. It's not a long interview, but it's still interesting. And it is, we've talked to Declan Shalvey at length on this podcast about this format. And sometimes it gets used in an interesting way. Sometimes it's not. But this one was a lot of fun. What is this, Zach?
Yeah, I don't know if the format is interesting on this one. Like, it's by Salva Espin is the artist on it, and I like Espin, but he's very much okay, he's on the book. It's probably going to be competent.
Mhm.
Like, he's a good hand.
Yes.
It's written by friend of the show, Jordan Bloom.
Yes.
Love Jordan. Love the energy that he puts into this. Because what Jordan does is he does a Christmas story. And he does a Christmas Carol. But because it's X-Men, he decides to do a couple of things. One, he's like, well, I want to do a Christmas Carol. Hey, there was just that issue of X-Men where Nightmare was like mad at Jean Grey. So he's like, fine, Nightmare's going to be getting his revenge.
Mhm.
That is my gimmick. And what does he do? He makes Charles Xavier, a guy who everyone kind of hates and thinks sucks, which is true both in and out of universe a lot of the times.
Yes.
He makes him do the Christmas story and the days of Christmas yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the Age of Apocalypse, baby.
An Age of Apocalypse.
I say Christmas story. He does a no, it's not a Christmas story. It's the other one. What's the one? The other ghost story with the bells ringing and the little
A Christmas Carol? Oh no. Oh, see, I've never actually seen this.
Jimmy Stewart.
Henry Stewart in.
Oh, see, you can't. The bank. The money's not in the vault. It's in your home. In your home.
That was a
We
really
know.
good. That was a really good.
I've also never seen this movie.
It's a Wonderful Life, Zach. It's a wonderful.
It's a
life.
Wonderful Life. That's what we're doing. It's a Wonderful Life, which isn't not a Christmas Carol.
Somebody
Like, It's a
is
Wonderful
like,
Life is riffing on a Christmas Carol.
Somebody is in their car right now, screaming at their car stereo.
So mad. So mad. And I don't blame them. Hey, is it bad that I immediately think of, like, I can think of Dirt Nap a lot faster? Like, how many
But
people is
it's a
that
Wonderful
true of?
Life. That's
How many
great.
people? Anyway, because it's that, the bad world, if Charles never existed, is the Age of Apocalypse.
Yes, I have
Which
to.
is so good.
I do have to just compliment Jordan because right off the bat, he does this like data page of Professor X's daily schedule, his like event planner, and the first thing on it is like he resurrects Rusty Collins.
Love
And I
that for
was like,
Jordan.
Jordan, go get him.
I'm going to text him right now and ask him for his immediate reaction to the untimely death of Rusty Collins in X Factor #1.
Yeah, I wonder if he cared about that, but
I would imagine that he would give a polite and professional no comment.
yeah, probably. I really enjoyed this though because it sets up a scenario where nobody really needs Professor X, and then Nightmare gets involved and sends him off on this crazy alternate universe adventure. And what's cool about it is when you get there, you assume that Professor X is just in Age of Apocalypse because he's encountering familiar versions of these characters like the Cyclops from AOA,
Cyclops.
Sinister,
It's AOA Cyclops.
right?
Yeah.
But we quickly learn, despite there are some similarities, this is not the AOA from the 90s that we're familiar with, because in a really fantastic bit that I think I laughed out loud at this. When we finally meet the AOA X-Men here, Magneto is there, but it's not Magneto. It's Moira.
Oh my gosh.
And
It's Moira because we're doing a Krakoa thing.
right. And Magneto is there, but Magneto is a baby. Because he got turned into a baby.
Because he got turned into a baby the one time, and this Moira didn't screw with that. Well, technically, Proteus screwed with him not being a baby anymore. But Proteus is on the X-Men now. Jordan put a lot of thought into the canon of this. Like, I didn't think this through until just right now, but because Moira in this universe wants to be, by the way, this Moira is also a Moira X. Like, this is post House of X Moira.
She knows.
So she went back and she decided, actually, I'm going to not treat Kevin like a piece of garbage this time around. So he's wearing his costume from Kings of Pain.
He's got his Kings of Pain outfit.
He's got the Kings of Pain. Well,
Yes.
not his, but like the lady from Kings of Pain, the bad mom from Kings of Pain. He's wearing
Yes.
her clothes.
But it is
is
absolutely wild that
incredible.
there is a panel of Alpha the Ultimate making Magneto back into a baby, and that Magneto spends this story on a a child carrier off of Magneto's front as Moira carries him around.
Baby Magneto's in a Baby Bjorn with Moira.
It's pretty great.
It is not the greatest thing. The greatest thing is when you see the mutant concentration camp, because they realize that, okay, Professor X knows how to fix all this. We have to get the 5. And they already have Proteus and they have Tempest. So they're like, we got to get the rest of them. We got to save it. So let's see. Egg is doing a beautiful Christmas thing in a mutant concentration camp. So we got to go get him. And you know who else is in the mutant concentration camp?
Well, Tempest is already on the X-Men, except she's extremely...
It's not one of the 5. I'm not thinking one of the 5. I'm thinking of probably my favorite panel from this entire thing.
Please tell the listeners who you were thinking of, Zach.
I'm thinking of Age of Apocalypse Eye-Boy.
Yes, who is dressed completely in black leather and is a hound.
He's in a gimp suit. He's in a gimp suit that has a bunch of eye cutouts.
It's a very funny gag. It's a very funny gag. It's
truly, like, Salva Espin sells it so well. Like, I love that Espin became we're going to do a weird but kind of funny Krakoa riff thing guy. Because he did it, like, this fits with his House of 92 book that him and Steve Fox did.
Absolutely.
It is in one accord with that. Also, Frenzy is here, and AOA Frenzy is the Juggernaut. You got another AOA Glob Herman who just has a bunch of skulls inside of him, like he's a Chris Picciolo drawing.
Great design. I love that.
It's so good. Adam, they save the day, right? Like it all works
do
out.
To the point where by the time you get to the end of the story, Professor X has made it back to Krakoa, right? And is having like a hot tub moment with Logan, which I also thought was funny. And
love, because it's one, I'm gonna be honest. I don't one-on-one hot tub with my male friends. There are nearly no situations where I will one-on-one hot tub with my male friends. That's just not the relationship that I have with them.
Zach, I'll podcast in a hot tub with you. I'm comfortable.
I did not get that upgrade for NYCC, but we can talk about it. And also, he wasn't really in the Age of Apocalypse. He was in Nightmare. He was in a nightmare that Nightmare made of him that was tied to the Age of Apocalypse. It's unclear.
And yet,
if that world was real.
And yet, at the end, those characters are setting up their own Krakoan portal. And Charles is suggesting that we not only have to liberate the mutants of Earth, but we have to liberate the mutants of all Earths along, the multiverse, which is a wild suggestion.
Are you talking about... Adam, this is crazy. Are you talking about limitless mutants traveling endless dimensions, saving infinite worlds?
Yes.
In X-Men Unlimited?
It's a good payoff at the end,
Friggin' no, the payoff at the end is where Jordan ends it with never the end.
Yes. I do appreciate that instead of Doug having Warlock for an arm, he has Krakoa for an arm. So when they make the portal at the end, he just kind of like is tearing a piece of his arm off and like making it into a little thing on the ground. It's great. So I enjoyed this quite a bit. It is a lot of fun. We have talked about the Infinity comic a couple of times, and what you were just saying before, Zach, I do think that it's more fun when you have artists and writers who are just riffing, and taking some chances and doing some fun stuff, as opposed to it feeling a little stodgy or feeling like it's really beholden to continuity.
Well, because the stories that really work in this format, and I honestly think it took them a little bit to figure this out, but they're the stuff that like you couldn't really market or sell a miniseries of. Like, if it was just, here's the World Without X one shot, which is all this would really be, I don't think that you could get good sales on it.
No, I agree.
But in an anthology of, hey, for the next month, we're going to do this Charles Xavier story. And it's going to be a fun little thing that you can look forward to and serialize. That really works for me.
I agree. And, Buckley kind of insinuates this in his interview, but it definitely sounds like they're having more success in getting a wider audience with lighter fare. Things like Jeff the Land Shark, Alligator Loki. Now we've got a Lockheed Infinity comic. And so
those are fine. They're fine.
Which are fine and fun.
I see the
I like
appeal,
Marvel
but I'm just
Meow
not-
like everybody else because I love cats. But
yeah, but you giggle at it and you move. They're gag strips.
That's
what they are.
They're comic strips.
They're comic strips. You know what? Comic strips should be allowed. It's just I don't think they're the be all end all, and that's
no.
fine.
But it does make sense that if that is sort of like the trend of what they want to use this format for, that these stories could be a little bit lighter and could be a lot weirder than you might see in your month to month. So I enjoyed this a great deal, and been having a lot of kind of Krakoa nostalgia lately.
Are you having Krakoa thoughts?
Well, we did for listeners
Krakoa sadness.
For listeners who didn't see it, it was posted online, but Leah Williams was at the Uncanny Experience recently and did post her initial pitch for all 36 issues of X Factor, and boy, did that get me missing the era again. And so this was a great respite for that.
I know that you missed the era. I missed the era too. I just have I have accepted and moved on with it, and I think you have too.
Sure.
But I will say, if there's people who want to see why Adam is having such a hard time moving on, we will talk about what that is after we rank this comic. That I forgot that's what we have to do first.
Oh, yeah. So this is definitely the best thing we've talked about today.
Yes.
I enjoyed this quite a bit, and I'm trying to think of where I would put it. Well, it's not better than... I don't think this is a top 200 book, because it's not better than Sword.
Right, it's not better than Sword. Don't be mad, Jordan. You know that's true.
Yeah.
You're not arguing with us.
At 300 is Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut, which I enjoyed quite a bit and has a similar kind of fun sensibility to it that this does.
See, I think Jordan would argue that Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut is better than anything he wrote.
I do think that Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut is better, but I know you weren't such a fan of that, so I'm curious.
I don't know if Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut is my fave. I think it goes on for a while. I do think this is okay, right under that is X-Men 70 Homecoming. This comic, as we all know, where a maggot eats a bomb that was inside of Scott Summers.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of better than that. It's on that level of this is a good, fun thing.
This is better than Negative Zone War at 325, but I don't...
Oh, yeah, this is better than Negative Zone War.
But I don't think it's better than The Trial of Jean Grey at 313.
This is better than Return of the King from Ultimate X-Men.
And I think it's... this is tough because the first couple issues are Stuart Immonen, but I do think it's better than Cyclops
Russell
Volume
Dodderman.
3.
You're thinking of Russell Dodderman.
Yeah, Russell Dodderman, because I was thinking
Carnero.
Thank you. I do think it's better than the first 5 issues of Cyclops Volume 3 at 314.
Which are beautiful, but then from a story standpoint kind of fall apart. That's fine. Make it 314. Let's make it 314.
And folks, if you missed this because you tune in and out of Infinity like I do, check this out. It was a lot of fun.
There's folks, if anyone ever wants to know what to read on X-Men Unlimited Infinity comics, it's the Declan Shalvey stuff. It is if you liked the Fibonacci's Juggernaut miniseries, there's a follow up to it. That's not bad. It's not my favorite because it has a lot of Deadpool. It's all the stuff Jason Liu did because he understands the format and is really delightful. It's the maggot stuff, all the Packnatal stuff that he was doing on that, and the Grace Fruit stuff is incredibly good too.
The Lonnie story, the Marrow story.
The Zach Thompson Marrow story.
Oh, that's Zach.
That's really good.
I'm sorry.
No. Those catch up on those. Those are the ones that I really liked. And then also make sure you go and get to the Love Unlimited series or whatever it was and pick up the best karma story that's ever been.
Yeah, it's really great. That's a good one.
But yeah, Adam,
Hi.
you have something that you want to plug. You plugged it last week, but now it's actually out, so you should plug it again.
Oh yeah, so over the past week, Anna and I sat down with Dave on Comic Book Herald for a live YouTube chat about From the Ashes, and it's archived, so you can watch it. It's linked on
It's
all
great.
of our socials, and it was
I
a really
enjoyed
good
it.
conversation. We tried to keep it, light and as positive as possible. So check it out. I think it was a good conversation.
I think it was great. Adam's great. Anna's great. Dave's a guy I've never actually talked to in any real capacity, though we have so many overlapping friends and interests. And I think we both know of each other like pretty decently. And we've just never been like, oh, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
One of those people. It's fine. I'd buy him a beer if I saw him.
Absolutely. So we had a really good time. Folks can always follow me on social, Adam Reck on Blue Sky and Instagram, and Arthur Stacy on Twitter. And Zach, I guess I'll skip asking you what you're up to, and you can tell me what we're doing.
Don't ask me what I'm up to. I'm actually at home this week. It's great.
That's great. What are we doing next week?
So next week, we are going deep into the lost and forgotten world of Tabula Rasa.
Ooh, a blank slate. All right.
So we're doing that. But until then, folks, this has been Battle of the Hour, and we hope you survived the experience.
Get it!